for the United States of America. So we had the Judiciary Committee hearings, and you heard from Christine Ford, who accuses Judge Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault 36 years ago. Okay? So we're going to start with Christine Ford, and then we'll go to Judge Kavanaugh, who was second in his response, which of course he totally denies any wrongdoing whatsoever. Overall, on Christine Ford, she came across as a very polished person. Her opening statement, she delivered it very well. There's nobody who can sit there and say, that woman's a liar. You couldn't do that and be a responsible person. You had to listen to the statement. Statement was delivered fairly methodically. I'm sure she was well rehearsed, but the woman looked sincere and looked aggrieved. That's the truth. But then a lot of things started to happen. Instead of the Republican senators asking her questions because they're all frightened, they're all men, it's me too, they handed it over to a prosecutor from Arizona named Rachel Mitchell. So Ms. Mitchell interrogated Christine Ford at 5-minute intervals. Then they went over to Democratic senators that basically don't want to know the truth about anything, who proceeded to elevate Christine Ford to sainthood. Okay, that's what they do. That's who they are. What are you going to do? I thought that Rachel Mitchell was too gentle. She didn't have a sense of urgency in her questioning. And as somebody who's been through this, I want my advocate to really get across the seriousness of this. Now, Judge Kavanaugh did that, and I'll get to him. He did that, all right? He came out smoking. But Rachel Mitchell, not so much. In fact, there was only one, and this is for my crew in New York City. This is soundbite number 4 we're going to run here, okay? It was only one time that there was really a confrontation, and that was when Rachel Mitchell asked Dr. Ford about her former best friend, Leland Kaiser. This is key now. This is key. Dr. Ford put 3 people at the party where she says she was sexually assaulted by Kavanaugh, all right? Mark Judge, a man named Patrick Smith, and her best friend, Leland Kaiser, all right? Finally, Rachel Mitchell asked her about Miss Kaiser. Roll the tape.
When you did leave that night, did Leland Kaiser, now Kaiser, ever follow up with you and say, hey, what happened to you?
I've had communications with her recently.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about like the next day.
Oh, no. She didn't know about the event. She was downstairs during the event, and I did not share it with her.
Okay. Are you aware that the 3 people at the party besides yourself and Brett Kavanaugh have given statements under penalty of felony to the committee?
Yes.
And are you aware of what those statements say?
Yes.
Are you aware that they say that they have no memory or knowledge of such a party?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any particular motives to ascribe to Leland?
I guess we could take those one at a time. Leland has significant health challenges, and I'm happy that she's focusing on herself and getting the health treatment that she needs. And she let me know that she needed her lawyer to take care of this for her, and she texted me right afterward with an apology and good wishes and etc. So I'm glad that she's taking care of herself. I don't expect that PJ and Leland would remember this evening. It was a very unremarkable party. It was not one of their more notorious parties because nothing remarkable happened to them that evening. They were downstairs. And Mr. Judge is a different story. I would expect that he would remember that this happened.
Well, that's kind of interesting because according to Dr. Ford, Brett Kavanaugh and Mark Judge were blind drunk. blind drunk. And they were hurtling all over the house. And they pushed her into a room and locked the door. And Brett Kavanaugh assaulted her. And then afterward, they went downstairs, still blind drunk, while Dr. Ford stayed in a bathroom upstairs. And then a few moments later, Dr. Ford ran out of the house and somehow got home, but she doesn't know how she got home. Now, if you were at a party and there were two boys blind drunk, you wouldn't remember that? She says, I don't expect PJ and Leland would remember this evening. It was a very unremarkable party. Was it? With two people blind drunk going all over the house? Okay. I would have followed up there if I had been quizzing Dr. Ford. And then I would have said to her, very respectfully, you really didn't answer the question. You're saying that your former friend, Leland, has health problems now, and because she does that, you're implying that she wanted her lawyer to say whatever, okay? Do you have the text where she apologizes? I'd like to see that text. I'd like to see the context of that text. Can we see that? You see, it doesn't stack in the sense of being a human being. So if you are a victim and you name three people that were on the premises when you were victimized, in circumstances you vividly have described, and you did that very convincingly to the whole world, but all three people don't remember any of it, nothing. That's enough. That's what they call reasonable doubt. Right there. There's not a court in the world, civil or criminal, convict anyone under those circumstances. Anyone. Okay. So now you get the political component. That comes in. Let me go through it. The villain here is Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California. In July, when Brett Kavanaugh's name was being circulated as a possible Supreme Court nominee, this whole thing started with Dr. Ford alerting a congressman in California that Kavanaugh assaulted her. The congressman then alerted Feinstein, who's on the Judiciary Committee, and there was a letter written. Dr. Ford says she wrote the letter, gave it to the congresswoman, who gave it to Dianne Feinstein. Now, this is at the end of July, all right? In conjunction, Dr. Ford calls the Washington Post and begins telling her story to the press. Okay. As soon as Judge Kavanaugh was nominated by President Trump, Dianne Feinstein should have had a press conference and said, I got this letter. This woman is accusing Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. The second he was nominated, that should have happened. Why? Because then the FBI, all right, could go in and investigate whatever evidence they could come up with in a timely fashion so that we would know yes or no whether there's any validity to this. Did not happen. Feinstein held the letter back and has not given one reason, not one reason for doing so. She could have not said who wrote the letter, just handed it over to the Judiciary Committee, who's in charge, and the FBI. Didn't do it. Instead, waited for the last possible moment before Kavanaugh's nomination was going to be voted on. That's politics, and vicious politics. Dianne Feinstein is a villain. Is a villain. Not only did she destroy Kavanaugh, even if he's confirmed, I mean, his life's never going to be the same. It's the same thing with his family. But she put the accuser in a position of being scrutinized as well. Okay. So we all know the political component. And then Blumenthal and other senators, Democratic senators, Hirano from Hawaii, and Gillibrand from New York, Schumer, they convict Kavanaugh. He's guilty without any due process. We all know.